AITA for ghosting my girlfriend after hearing her bragging about cheating? My name is Drew. I am 32 years old, and I thought I had my life well sorted out, or at least the relationship part. I have been dating this girl Olivia for 2 years. We met at a Christmas party a few years ago, and at the time, I felt like it was one of those encounters meant to happen. Looking back, I guess I was just naive. Well, let's start from the beginning. The party where we met was hosted by a mutual friend, Jason. Jason and I have known each other since high school, and Olivia was one of his employees. I did not even want to go to that party that night. Work had been tough, and I just wanted to stay home. But Jason guilt-tripped me into going, saying I needed to meet people and enjoy myself a little. So, I went, and there she was, Olivia. She was laughing with a group when I first saw her. Jason, true to himself, dragged me over to introduce us. We hit it off right away. She laughed at my lame jokes, asked questions about my interests, and seemed genuinely interested in me. I remember leaving that party with her number and a silly smile on my face. A few weeks later, we had our first date. Nothing fancy, just burgers and a walk in the park. But it was perfect. She was funny, smart, and much more grounded than I expected. We clicked, you know. I thought it could get serious, and it did. A few months later, we were officially a couple, and everything seemed fine. But there was one thing that always stuck with me. Her younger sister, Chloe. From the very first time I met her, I felt she did not like me. She was not outright mean, but she had this knack for throwing little jabs. For example, at one of the first family dinners I attended, she said, "Wow, Olivia, you really went for the low-maintenance look this time." At first, I let it slide, thinking she was protecting her sister or teasing me, but it did not stop. Chloe always found a way to belittle me. If I talked about something I was passionate about, she would roll her eyes or make a sarcastic remark. Once, I was talking about a hiking trip, and she said, "Wow, what a thrill. I hope you took a good look at the trees." She also did this thing where she would bring up Olivia's exes, like, "Oh, remember when you and Mark went to Cancun? That looked amazing." I felt like she was constantly trying to remind me that Olivia could do better or that I was not measuring up. I brought it up to Olivia a few times, asking why Chloe seemed to have it in for me. She would laugh it off and reply, "That's just Chloe. She's like that with everyone." But I was not convinced. She was perfectly nice to other people, just not to me. I started dreading every time we had to see her. But for Olivia, I made an effort. Despite Chloe's attitude, my relationship with Olivia progressed. We moved in together after about a year, splitting the rent on a small house in the suburbs. Life felt stable, as if we were building something real. I was not the type to rush into marriage, but after 2 years, I started thinking about proposing to her. Olivia was my person, or at least I thought so. That year, Jason was hosting another Christmas party, and I thought it was the perfect moment to pop the question. That is where we met, and Jason had always been a big part of our story. I talked to Olivia's parents a few weeks earlier to ask for their blessing, and they were thrilled. I spent weeks preparing. I picked out the ring, rehearsed what I was going to say, and even coordinated with Jason to make the moment perfect. I imagined Olivia's face when I got down on one knee in front of all our friends, how happy she would be, how we would laugh about how far we had come. I was sure I was doing the right thing, but life has a way of kicking you when you least expect it. All those plans, all that excitement, it was like building a house on shifting sand. I did not know it yet, but the foundation of our relationship was not what I thought, and the cracks were about to show in the worst possible way. About a month ago, the guys and I planned a fishing weekend at a spot we love near the lake. It is quiet, a bit off the grid, and it is our place to decompress. We packed coolers, gear, and headed out just to relax and talk. I had been looking forward to this weekend for weeks. Work had drained me, and I needed some fresh air. Olivia was not thrilled about me being gone for a whole weekend, but I told her it was important to me, and she seemed to understand, or at least pretended to. So I left that Saturday morning. My truck was loaded, tent, cooler, food, everything I thought I needed. I was already an hour into the drive when I realized I had left my fly box in the garage. I know it does not sound like a big deal, but that box was new. Olivia had given it to me, and I had spent a fortune on new lures and all the gear. I could not fish without it, plus I knew the guys would tease me if I showed up empty-handed. I sighed, turned around, and headed back home. I was not super happy about wasting time, but I figured I would grab the box and get back on the road quickly. Olivia had said she was going shopping with Chloe that day, so I did not expect to find anyone home. Honestly, that suited me fine. I did not want to deal with the "why are you back so early" conversation. Olivia never hesitated to speak her mind. If she thought something was stupid, she said so. I figured it was best to get in, grab the box, and leave. When I pulled into the driveway, it must have been around 3 p.m. Olivia's car was parked, which surprised me. My first thought was that maybe she had come home early or their shopping trip got cut short. I did not think much of it. Sometimes plans change. I parked the truck and went inside, focused on getting the box and hitting the road again. As I walked through the house, the atmosphere felt strangely quiet. You know when something feels off? The air seemed heavier. That kind of silence that is not really silent. I could hear distant voices coming from the living room. I figured Olivia and Chloe were in there chatting. It was not unusual for Chloe to drop by. She did not live far, and Olivia liked having her over. As for me, I kept my distance when Chloe came around. It was easier that way. As I moved further into the house, I realized the voices were louder than I thought. They were not just chatting, they were laughing. Not a friendly, light laugh. It was that contemptuous, gossipy kind of laugh. I stopped halfway down the hallway. I did not mean to eavesdrop, but the way they were talking froze me in my tracks. Chloe spoke first. "So you never actually told him? You're seriously telling me he has no idea?" She sounded almost impressed, but with that signature sarcastic tone of hers. Olivia's laugh followed, softer but full of amusement. "Of course not. Drew doesn't notice anything unless it's right under his nose. He's so focused on his little projects that he's oblivious to everything else." My chest tightened. I did not know what they were talking about, but the way she said my name sounded wrong, like I was the punchline of a joke I did not understand. Chloe was not finished. "I still don't get how you put up with him. He's the most boring guy I have ever met. Always talking about fishing, hiking, or whatever. Honestly, Olivia, you could do so much better." "He's safe?" Olivia replied. Her tone had nothing tender or affectionate about it. It sounded almost like contempt. "Safe," Chloe retorted. "Come on, you deserve more than boredom. Scott is way better." My heart raced. "Scott? Who is Scott?" I thought. Olivia's laugh pierced right through me. "I know. I didn't plan for it to happen, but Scott, he's just different. The connection we have is on a whole other level. Drew can't even compare." Chloe continued. "So what are you waiting for? Dump Drew. Come on. Scott is clearly the better choice." Olivia sighed. "I can't. Not yet. I'm pretty sure he's planning something big for Christmas. I don't want to ruin everything. Not yet. I wanted to break something, to scream, to do anything to release the rage boiling inside me. But instead, I simply took a deep breath and left the house. As I closed the door behind me, I heard Olivia yell, "Drew, is that you?" I did not answer. I got into my truck and drove off. She called me a few minutes later, but I did not pick up. By the time I was back on the road, she had already sent a flurry of texts. "Where are you? I thought I heard the door. Are you okay? Please call me back." I did not go back to the fishing weekend. Impossible. I drove aimlessly for hours, trying to process what had just happened. It was as if everything I thought I knew about Olivia, about our relationship, had vanished, and I did not know what to do with that. Finally, I pulled into a motel parking lot and got a room for the night. It was not much, but it gave me a place to think without the weight of the house or Olivia's presence hovering over me. I turned off my phone, ignoring the flood of missed calls and messages that kept pouring in. I could not deal with that right now. I did not want to hear her excuses or explanations. What could she possibly say to justify what I had heard? I spent the whole night at the motel, staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation in my head like some kind of bad movie. Every laugh, every word was another stab. The way Olivia talked about me with Chloe was not just disrespectful, it was cruel. And Scott's name, that was a crushing blow. Knowing there was a name, a face to attach to her betrayal made things even worse. This was not some abstract mistake I could have brushed off. She had made deliberate choices, lying to me, mocking me behind my back, and planning her exit while I was planning our future. Looking back, though, there were subtle but clear signs. Over the past few months, Olivia had been busier than usual. Gym sessions, last-minute happy hours with coworkers, impromptu shopping trips with Chloe. At the time, I paid no attention to it. She was not the clingy type, and I respected her independence. But now, I could not help but wonder how many of those evenings were actually spent with Scott. Was Chloe covering for all of this the whole time? I could not shake the thought that Chloe was part of the plan, that she was encouraging her, helping her, and relishing every second of it. I had not told anyone, not even my friends. How would I even start that conversation? Hey guys, actually, my girlfriend of 2 years has been seeing someone else, a guy from her gym. It sounded pathetic in my head, and I did not want their pity. I wanted to handle this alone, at least for now. Leaving the motel, I had a plan, or at least the beginnings of one. I was not going to confront Olivia right away. That would come later, on my terms. First, I had to sort out the housing situation. The lease was in my name, so legally, I had all the rights. There was no way I was letting her stay in the house while I looked for solutions. She did not deserve that. I wanted her out of my space as quickly as possible. When I got home that afternoon, I noticed Olivia's car was not in the driveway. Perfect. I parked my truck and went inside. I went straight to the guest room where we kept the trash bags. If I was going to do this, it had to be now. I grabbed a few and started stuffing her things into them. Clothes, shoes, makeup, everything that was clearly hers went straight into the bags. I just wanted her stuff out of my house. The faster, the better. I dragged everything to the porch and left it there. Then, I went back inside and found the number of the locksmith I had called a year earlier. I contacted him to change the locks. He showed up within the hour, and I did not give him any details. I just told him it was urgent. When the locks were changed, I felt a slight sense of relief. Not huge, but it was a step towards regaining control. Before leaving the house, I grabbed a piece of paper and scribbled a quick note. Nothing dramatic, just, you know what you did. Do not contact me. I taped it to the door and locked it, feeling the weight of the keys in my hand, as if it were the last tie to the life I had just abandoned. With everything packed up and the locks changed, I needed some air. So I decided to go to a retreat center I had heard about. It was a 5-hour drive, perfect for a long getaway, and it offered a quiet place to think. No phone, no distractions, just me and my thoughts. Exactly what I needed. Leaving town, I stopped to grab a coffee and checked my phone for a few minutes in the parking lot. Of course, there were dozens of missed calls and texts from Olivia. At first, they were mundane. Hey, where are you? Did you come home last night? Then, as the hours passed, they became more urgent. Drew, I am really worried. Please call me back. What is going on? Why are you not answering? And finally, where the hell are you? We need to talk. I did not reply to any of them. I was not ready to talk to her. What would I have said? Oh hey, I heard you talking about Scott and saying I do not measure up. Care to explain? No, that was not how I wanted to handle things. She did not deserve any explanation from me, not after what she had done. Driving to the retreat center, I started picturing the moment she would come home and find her stuff on the porch. I imagined her shocked, maybe crying. A part of me hoped she felt ashamed, that she finally realized the magnitude of her screw-up. But another part of me absolutely did not care. This was no longer about her. It was about me, about what I had to do to move forward. When I finally arrived at the retreat center, I was drained. I spent 2 days there without thinking too much about what was next. I just knew I would not rush back into the chaos I had left behind. Let her sit there and guess why her things were outside. Heading back into town at last, one thing was clear. Olivia was not going to manipulate her way out of this. I was not going to give her the chance to spin her lies or whine her way back into my good graces. On the contrary, I felt a kind of cold clarity on the way back. She was not worth my energy. No matter what fake version of herself she had presented for 2 years, it was over, and I was not playing the game anymore. Pulling into my driveway, it was obvious she had been there. Her belongings that I had left packed on the porch were gone. She had taken everything. The note I had taped to the door was gone too. But that did not surprise me. What really caught my attention was the pile of envelopes jammed into the screen door. Letters, all addressed to me, all from Olivia. I did not even touch them. I just shook my head, unlocked the new lock, and went inside. After clearing out the last traces of her in the house, I sat on the couch and took out my phone. I had not checked it since before the retreat, and when I turned it back on, the notifications flooded in. Texts, missed calls, voicemails, a sheer barrage of desperation. The text started calmly. Hey, I came home and saw my things. Can we talk? I don't know what's going on, but I'm worried. Then they grew more frantic. Drew, what the hell is this? Why is all my stuff outside? Please call me back. I'm sorry for whatever I did. And finally, they turned angry. This is childish, Drew. You're acting like a jerk. At least give me the decency of a conversation. I smiled reading that one. Decency. After what I had heard, the irony was not lost on me. I did not even bother replying. Instead, I blocked her. Done. Simple as that. She did not deserve an explanation, and I was not going to waste my time drafting a long message or arguing over the phone. The next morning, I got a call from Jason, the mutual friend who had introduced me to Olivia at the Christmas party 2 years ago. Jason is the kind of friend who is always there for you, but does not mince words. When I picked up, his tone was casual, but I could tell he knew something was wrong. Hey man, everything okay? Olivia keeps calling me. I leaned back in my chair and sighed. Yeah, she's probably panicking because I kicked her out. Jason paused, then whistled softly. Damn, what happened? For the first time, I told someone the whole story. How I had caught Olivia and Chloe making fun of me. The way she had confessed to having an inappropriate relationship with some guy named Scott. And of course, how Chloe was egging her on. Jason did not interrupt me, which I appreciated. When I finished, he let out a long breath. Wow, that's truly disgusting. Honestly, man, you did the right thing. She didn't deserve you. Jason was not the type to blindly take sides, so his support meant a lot. Over the next few days, Olivia continued her attempts to reach me. She tried everything, calling from other numbers, showing up at the house. I would not open the door, and she even dropped letters in my mailbox. They all said the same thing. Apologies, justifications, and begging for a second chance. I did not read most of them, but the ones I skimmed through repeated the same theme. She was sorry. It was not what I thought. She still loved me, blah blah blah. The same old speech people always give when they get caught. I did not buy it. Chloe also tried to contact me, which made me laugh. Her messages were so out of touch, it was almost funny. Hey, I heard Olivia isn't doing well. Maybe you guys should talk. As if she had not been the one encouraging her to be unfaithful in the first place. I blocked her too. The following morning, I decided to call Olivia's parents. They had always been kind to me, welcoming me as a member of the family as soon as our relationship got serious. Her mom, Linda, always gave me leftovers after family meals, and her dad, Tom, loved talking about sports and barbecue. They were people who genuinely cared about others, and I figured they deserved to know the truth about what their daughter had done. Plus, I wanted them to hear it from me, not some twisted version Olivia would surely sell them. I was not nervous about calling them, but I knew it would not be easy. It is not exactly an everyday conversation. Hi, just wanted to give you a heads up that your daughter was unfaithful and her sister encouraged it. When I dialed Linda's number, she picked up on the second ring. Drew, how are you, sweetheart? It has been a while, she said in her usual warm voice. Hi, Linda, I replied, trying to keep a steady tone. Do you have a few minutes? It's important. Of course, she said, suddenly concerned. Is everything okay? No, not really, I said bluntly. I explained everything. How I had caught Olivia and Chloe laughing at me, how Olivia had admitted to the situation with a guy named Scott, and how Chloe had encouraged it. I did not sugarcoat anything. I repeated word for word what was said because I wanted her to understand how low her daughters had stooped. When I finished, the line went dead silent. For a moment, I thought Linda had hung up, but I heard a shaky breath. Drew, she finally said, her voice breaking. I don't even know what to say. I can't believe it. Are you sure? Maybe you misunderstood. I didn't misunderstand. I cut in firmly. Linda started crying. I felt a little bad, but at the same time, I was not going to water down the truth for her. Her daughters had done this, not me. A few moments later, I heard Tom's voice in the background asking what was wrong. It's about Olivia and Chloe, Linda sobbed. There were some muffled noises, and then Tom took the receiver. Drew, what's going on? Linda is in tears. I told him everything all over again. When I finished, he too was silent, just like Linda. Then, after a long moment, he let out a deep sigh. I'm sorry, Drew, he said in a grave voice. You didn't deserve this, none of it. I can't believe she. My God, I don't even have words. It's not your fault, I said. And I meant it. But I wanted you to know. I know how much you care about your daughters, but I can't stay silent. I'm done with the disrespect. You're absolutely right, Tom said, his voice firm now. They crossed the line, and they need to face the consequences. I don't care if they are my daughters. What they did is disgusting. Linda, still crying in the background, added, Drew, I'm so sorry. You have always been so good to Olivia, to our family. I can't believe she ruined everything. And Chloe, how could she encourage such a thing? I don't even recognize them anymore. We continued talking for a while. They asked if I was okay, how I was handling the situation, and if there was anything they could do to help. I told them I was fine, better than they could imagine, and that I was moving forward regardless of Olivia's pleas. Tom assured me they were going to deal with it on their end, and he made it clear they were not going to tolerate that kind of behavior in their family. Before hanging up, Tom said something that stuck with me. Drew, you have always been like a son to us. What Olivia did doesn't change that. You are always welcome in our lives. But as far as I'm concerned, she is out. They both are. I don't want people like that in my life. Even if they are family. I did not know how Olivia's parents would react, but I did not expect them to cut ties with both of their daughters. It was a drastic decision, but honestly, it made me respect them even more. They did not try to justify or excuse Olivia's behavior. They did not play the blood is thicker than water card. They simply saw the situation for what it was and stuck to their principles. I felt relieved, as if a weight had been lifted, knowing that Olivia and Chloe would not have the support they were probably counting on. But another part of me felt sad, not for them, but for Linda and Tom. They did not deserve this. They had raised two daughters who turned out to be selfish and deceitful, and now they had to live with that reality. I would not wish that on anyone. When I went to bed that night, I felt more at peace than I had in weeks. Olivia and Chloe might have tried to ruin my life, but I was not the one who had to pick up the pieces now. That was their problem now. And judging by Tom and Linda's reaction, they had some tough days ahead of them. In the days following my conversation with Olivia's parents, the fallout from Olivia and Chloe's actions began to unfold. Tom and Linda were not the type to make empty promises, and when they said they were cutting ties with both their daughters, they truly meant it. I did not expect them to go that far. However, it was satisfying to watch. The first thing I heard was that Olivia had been fired. Jason called me. Well, she is no longer my employee. I can't keep someone like that around. It's bad for the team, bad for morale, and honestly, I don't want a person who thinks that kind of behavior is acceptable representing my company. I did not expect him to fire her, but I could not pretend to be upset. Olivia had always bragged about how much Jason respected her work, about how secure her job was. Clearly, her actions had consequences she had not seen coming. You didn't have to do that for me, I said, even though a part of me was relieved to know she would not get away without repercussions. Jason scoffed. It's not just because of you, Drew. I don't tolerate that kind of behavior. Period. She crossed the line, and I'm not letting her drama infect my business. After hanging up, I could not help but feel a certain sense of vindication. Olivia had been so arrogant, so sure she could get away with anything, but now the life she had built was starting to crumble. From what I heard through mutual friends, and a bit from Jason, Olivia first tried to play the victim. She told anyone who would listen that I had overreacted and kicked her out without giving her a chance to explain. But as the full story spread, thanks to Jason and her parents, people stopped believing her. She went from someone people admired to someone they pitied, but not in a good way. As for Chloe, her involvement did not go unnoticed either. Tom and Linda were furious that she had encouraged Olivia, and they made it clear she was no longer welcome at their house. Chloe had always been the unpredictable child of the family, unable to hold down a job, constantly borrowing money, and always relying on her parents to bail her out. Tom and Linda cut off all financial support for Olivia. As for Chloe, she no longer really had a safety net, and Tom and Linda did not hold back when asked why. According to Jason, Linda allegedly told one of her church friends, "We raised them better than this. If they want to behave that way, they will do it without our help." Their social circle quickly caught wind of the situation, and the news spread fast. Olivia and Chloe found themselves ostracized by the people they relied on. Friends stopped answering their calls, invitations vanished, and even their Instagram followers started dropping. Olivia, who had always placed disproportionate importance on appearances, must have been losing her mind. Apparently, Chloe let Olivia stay at her place for a while, but it did not last. From what Jason told me, Chloe could not stand the constant drama Olivia brought with her. Between Olivia spiraling after losing her job and Chloe already struggling to manage her own finances, everything quickly fell apart. One night, Jason told me he heard Chloe had snapped and ended up kicking Olivia out too. She told her to deal with her own mess, Jason said, almost laughing. I guess sisterhood has its limits when you have a sister who is a walking disaster. I did not feel bad for them. They had made their choices, and now they were suffering the consequences. It was almost poetic justice. Olivia and Chloe had spent so much time belittling me, treating me like a boring, uninteresting guy who did not deserve their respect. Now, they were the ones scrambling to pick up the pieces while I was moving forward with my life. One evening, while scrolling through my phone, I got a text from Jason. It was a reminder for the upcoming Christmas party. Hope you're still coming, he wrote. Don't worry, Olivia isn't invited. This year, it's all good vibes. I stared at the message for a moment, hesitating to reply. A part of me wanted to avoid the party. It all felt too tied to what had happened. But another part of me thought, why should I let her ruin this for me? It is not her party, and she certainly does not have a monopoly on the memories of that night. So yes, I am going. Not just to see friends or enjoy the holiday spirit, but to take something back. My story, my dignity, my life, call it what you want. If Olivia shows up to cause trouble one last time, let's just say I am ready. This time, I am not the naive guy in the hallway, blindsided by betrayal. I am walking in with my eyes wide open. We will see how it goes. Thanks for reading this far. I will keep you updated after the Christmas party. Update. Well, buckle up because things went down at the Christmas party, and I am still struggling to wrap my head around it. If you have followed my story, you know where we left off. Let me take you to the party. The night started well. Actually, it was better than well. Jason threw a great party, and his apartment looked like a scene from a Christmas movie. Fairy lights, a huge tree in the corner, and people in festive sweaters laughing with a drink in hand. It felt good to be surrounded by friends, people who supported me and knew the truth about what had happened with Olivia. I chatted, caught up with old friends, and even met some new people. I felt like myself again. No baggage, no drama, just peace. But obviously, the drama eventually arrived. About halfway through the evening, the front door burst open, and there she was. Olivia, standing in the doorway, looking like she had not slept in days. Her makeup was smeared, her hair was a mess, and she was not wearing anything festive, just a black coat and jeans. She completely stood out in the middle of the joyful crowd. The room went silent. Everyone turned to her, and you could feel the tension crackling in the air. Jason was the first to speak. What are you doing here? He asked sharply. I need to talk to Drew, Olivia said, her voice shaking but loud enough for everyone to hear. Please, just 1 minute. Jason took a step forward, blocking her path. You were not invited, Olivia. You need to leave. She ignored him, her eyes scanning the room until they landed on me. Drew, she said, her voice breaking. Please, I just need to talk to you. 5 minutes, that is all I am asking. And here's the thing. The old me, the man I was a month ago, probably would have softened. He would have given her those 5 minutes because he wanted to believe the best in people, even when they did not deserve it. But the new me, the one standing there, surrounded by supportive friends with zero patience for her nonsense? Yeah, that guy was not going to play along. I crossed my arms and stared at her. Talk about what, Olivia? I said loud enough for everyone to hear. You already told me everything I needed to know. You just thought I wasn't listening. Her face crumbled, and for a second, I thought she was actually going to turn around and leave. But no, she took a shaky step forward and started begging, her voice cracking with every word. Drew, I made a mistake, a huge mistake. I was stupid, and I didn't realize what I had until I lost it. Please, give me a chance to explain. Jason stepped in again, his voice firm. Olivia, I'm serious. You need to leave. This is not the place for this. She turned to him, tears streaming down her face now. Jason, I'm begging you. I just need 5 minutes with him. 5 minutes, and I'll go. Jason looked like he was about to explode, but I raised my hand to stop him. It's fine, I said. Let her say what she has to say. You could have heard a pin drop as I walked toward her. Everyone was watching, waiting to see what would happen. Olivia wiped her face, trying to compose herself as I stopped a few feet away from her. Go ahead, I said. Say whatever you think will fix this. She took a deep breath, her whole body trembling. Drew, I was an idiot. I let Chloe get into my head, and I made mistakes I can't undo. But I swear to you, it meant nothing. Scott meant nothing. None of it mattered. You are the one I love, Drew. It has always been you. I stared at her, unfazed. You love me? I asked, my voice calm but sharp. Is that what you were thinking when you called me boring, when you laughed about how naive I was, or when you said the connection you had with Scott was something I couldn't compare to? Was that love, Olivia? She flinched as if I had slapped her. I didn't mean what I said, she whispered. I was stupid, Drew. I was just trying to impress Chloe and I. Stop, I said, cutting her off. Don't push the blame onto Chloe for your choices. She might have encouraged you, but you are the one who made those decisions. You lied, you were unfaithful, and then you laughed about it. Her tears were flowing freely now, and she lowered her voice so I was the only one who could hear. I am begging you, Drew. I have no one left. Chloe kicked me out. My parents won't speak to me. You are all I have left. I stepped back, letting her words hang in the air for a moment before replying. And whose fault is that, Olivia? Because it's certainly not mine. At that point, Jason had had enough. He stepped forward and motioned to a friend near the door. Time to go, he said firmly. Two of Jason's friends escorted Olivia out, gently but firmly, ignoring her weak protests and pleas. The door closed behind her, and suddenly, the tension in the room dissipated. Someone turned the music back up, conversations resumed, but the energy had clearly shifted. Jason walked over to me, putting a hand on my shoulder. Are you okay? He asked. I nodded. Yeah, I said. Strangely calm. But yeah. And you know what? It was true. Seeing Olivia fall apart like that did not hurt me. On the contrary, it felt like closure. I had spent 2 years of my life with someone who did not deserve me. But now, I was finally free. So there it is. That is the story. I do not know what Olivia is doing today, and honestly, I do not care. She made her choices, and now she is living with the consequences. As for me, I am moving forward. I have good friends, a supportive community, and a life that belongs to me. Comment. I think the toughest moments are the ones that truly show us what we are made of. It all starts with respecting yourself enough to walk away from what hurts you. Setting boundaries is not about punishing others, but about honoring your need for safety and peace. You can hold people accountable for their actions without losing your compassion. Ultimately, you are the one responsible for protecting your heart. Give yourself the grace to heal at your own pace. The real victory is not winning an argument, but finding your inner calm. Do not be afraid to lean on the good people in your life. I hope you always choose the path that leads back to your own peace and personal worth. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.